Let's talk herd. Hi Elsa, thank you so much for coming. It's amazing.
Hello, Camille.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about horses. When did you first get involved with horses? Did you grow up with them? Or did they come into your life later on?
We got horses when I was about 7 years old.
Okay.
My mother was a horse trainer, but she took a little break from horses when I was a small child, and then they came back into our lives when I was 7. So it felt like they were always there as part of my life, but I would say that it really was something that I was excited about because I didn't get to have them as a very small child, and then I did starting at 7 years old.
Wow. And what sort of did you just kind of do the usual things growing up with them? Competitions and things like that?
No, my mother had quite a unique way of teaching us to ride. She went on to teach many, 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 many children as I grew older. And the way she taught all of us was she would put us on a lunge line and insist that we learn how to ride the horse without holding on at the walk, the trot, and the canter. And as soon as we had enough balance to be able to ride all the gaits without holding on, and be able to do some things like jump on and off and ride backwards and stand up and things like that she thought was important, she would pretty much just hand us the reins and then take off at a gallop through the woods and let our ponies follow her and expected us to hold on.
Wow.
And
that's really unique, isn't it?
Well, I didn't know any better. I didn't know any different. And there was a lot of falling off and a lot of getting back on. And that was the way she believed that we should ride horses. It was fun and it was exciting. And you had a pretty firm foundation and then you just ran with it.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of jumping logs in the forest and galloping through trails, and there wasn't a lot of competition. There wasn't a lot of shows. There was just a lot of riding at high speed.
So you didn't have a lot of outside influence either, apart from your mom. You were doing your own thing, really.
Until I was about 12 or 13. And then once I was 12 or 13, I got into the pony club. And I lived at that point on a very small island off the coast of the United States, about as far northwest as you can go before you get to Canada. So there wasn't a lot of opportunities to go do any showing, but we did take all of the necessary riding lessons in dressage and jumping. And that's where I started to get more and more formal education.
Yeah. And can you remember what you enjoyed from that period of your life? Like, was it more jumping or more flat work or dressage?
Honestly, we didn't have a horse trailer. And so I was always that kid that was riding my horse to and from the lesson days. So I would have an hour and a half, 2 hours to ride my horse through the woods to get to the lessons and then get home again. And that was always the part that I loved the best, was the necessary communication that I had to have with the horse in order to get to the event and then get safely home again.
That's really interesting. Do you think that influenced what you did later?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. Having some sort of a purpose behind all the feeling states you can have with your horse. I think it's an important balance. So I loved riding horses because when I was part of them, they made me faster than I could be on my own feet. They made me stronger than I could be in my own small body. When I was part of their bigger mass, we could do more together. But there had to be a reason for that. And the reason was because we had a place we had to be.
Yeah.
And so certainly now I really focus on the feeling side of it. How does it feel to be part of another creature like that? But there's also the why. Why do we want to be part of another creature? Why do we want to be stronger or faster or any of the things that we want to feel
Yeah.
together?
Yeah, so when you say that you had to have a reason, or there had to be a reason, you mean in your mind there had to be a reason? Like that felt better, or was it a justification, or was it more that it just felt better?
I think that it was motivation. It was
Okay.
a reason to go out and feel all those things.
Mm,
Um, so the reason that I came up with when I filmed that first movie that I did with my Mustang Myrna was that nobody had done it before. And the premise was, if I spent an entire year with a horse, I never put a halter on her, and she was wild from the range. I never put a lead rope on her. She'd never known a rope. All food was freely available in her paddock. I didn't bring it to her. She had all the friends she needed. I was extra. She had everything she needed. She was never trapped between me and a fence. Would she still at some point want to carry me as a rider? And answering that question became the reason why I showed up every day. I wanted to know if it was possible, how it was possible, how would I need to act if it was possible. And it was just the exploration of doing something that nobody had ever done before.
yeah.
That became my reason.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw a little bit of what you were doing, and I loved it because it's quite similar. I mean, I wouldn't say that it's obviously not the same journey, but when I moved here, where we are now with my herd, I decided that because it was a fresh start, and I'd done a lot of, I suppose, what you could call classical riding. So it was how you ride with your posture and how you really engage a horse, and all of that was really, the truth of that was really important to me, that it would be like it's a system that happens between the rider and the horse. It's not just about cues and signals and conditioning. But anyway, I decided that this was our opportunity to completely put all of that aside. And what my inspiration was at the time was because I do energy work and energy therapy, and I really love the energetic dialogue between me and the horses. And I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus entirely on this energetic dialogue, and we're not going to do anything that doesn't, come up. And because there's always that, well, what does riding have to do with it? Because it's sort of a human idea to start with. So that's always been a bit of a sketchy grey area with it. But yeah, it's quite interesting how the parallels between the two. But I want to hear more about your experience with this mare, because obviously she was wild and she hadn't been around people. How did you dialogue with her?